The following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College.
This is Duck Insider.
Give it to Verdell. He's got the first down and go! Duck fans start celebrating. Oregon is the 2019 Pac-12 champion. The 2020 Rose Bowl champion.
Richardson, another open three. Good! Duarte dribbles and slams with the right hand. For the third time in the last 5 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions. Outright champ.
Holy three. Good! Holy ball. Back out Shelley. Three ball. Good! Regular season champions and now Pac-12 tournament champions.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you, and welcome to the second floor of the Casanova Center as we get ready for kickoff. Closing in, we're 2 shows away from the start of Oregon football season. That's how I've been counting down. I don't know if everybody else has like an internal clock that counts down. You know, when I was a kid, it was you have like one more sleep until your cousins come to visit kind of a thing, right? So I feel that like for us, it's the countdown of broadcasts, the countdown of shows, and we have 2 left. As we go on the air here today, preseason All Pac-12 teams have been released. We're going to talk about that for the Ducks, featured heavily. And it's also Athletic Director Thursday, brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens is going to join us here during game week, and that's how we'll kick off the show today. And I also do want to acknowledge that it's a sobering reminder of the reality that we are living in. As of noon today, the Cal and Washington opener for both of those football programs has been canceled due to a positive test on the Cal team and the preceding isolation protocols per the Pac-12 guidelines. It's a sobering reminder to grab those masks and get them on and do everything you can because, well, we'd like to keep playing games. And with that, unfortunately, we're starting the show with a little bit of bad news, but Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens does join us. Usually he'd be sitting in this seat. Instead, he's sitting in the corner office here inside the Casanova Center, and this is the world that we are in. You know, Jerry and Jorgie did the Oregon Football Coaches Show last night. Because they were both sitting in the studio, they had masks on, and that's just kind of the norm these days. So Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens joining us. Rob, I said this to you before we started today, that if my stress level is any indication of where we are, then I can only imagine what your stress level, what the coach's stress level, what your colleague's stress level is. I mean, just there's a lot of moving parts, aren't there, right now? And I hope that you're doing well, sir. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. I appreciate you having me. But, yeah, there are a lot of moving parts, and it's taken the entire program really rallying around this over several months of preparation. When you think back to the Pac-12 Medical Advisor Group setting up the guidance and all the work groups, whether it's the AD work group or the football working group or the football coaches or the medical working group, the number of people that have worked tirelessly to get to this point, to give our student athletes a chance to return to the field safely. It's been an all hands on deck, and a special thanks to our medical team, Dr. Davidson and Kim Terrell, Chief, for all that their work and putting all these things together to making sure that we can execute the daily antigen tests, the weekly PCR tests, and all that goes into just practicing on a daily basis. And then Mike Duncan and Lisa Peterson and Eric Rodell and all that they've done in working with Lane County Public Health and Oregon Health Authority to set up the protocols for us to be able to host Stanford on Saturday.
Having this be driven by local health professionals, I think we all agree that this is bigger than football. This is bigger than basketball, right, Rob? And, you know, I'm just kind of curious for an update on where things are with the game day logistics. Just so many things still to be figured out for you and your staff. And just, man, I just can't even imagine the amount of work that's gone into it, as you touched on. Just where do things stand as we get ready to kick things off against Stanford?
Yeah, no, there's a lot that goes into it, and working with Lane County Public Health and Oregon Health Authority and our own campus incident management team. And, you know, Mike Duncan and Lisa Peterson have been on point for setting up all of those protocols and making sure that we execute them. So we'll have no fans at Autzen Stadium on Saturday. It'll just be the student athletes, the coaches, and the essential staff, security, everybody that it takes to execute a game. Media, socially distanced with masks, will be in attendance. The game will be broadcast on ABC National, so that all the fans can watch it at home. But we do want to make sure that we're able to continue to practice and continue to be able to play future games. And a part of that formula will be for all fans to follow the health authority guidance, which is, no gatherings greater than 10, socially distance, and then masks where you cannot maintain that social distance. So, that's important for us to be able to try to get in this 7-game schedule. And everything is fluid. We're monitoring it really almost hour by hour, certainly day by day, and then adjusting on the fly wherever we need to give us a chance to be able to do this in a healthy and safe way.
I got to ask too, Rob, just with the student athletes and getting back on the field. I mean, I loved what Coach Wazakowski for Oregon baseball said a few weeks ago when he met with the media, Rob, just that, this has been tough mentally on everybody, but on student athletes right now and not being able to compete, that drives them, right? I mean, just the fact that they can get back out on the field is pretty awesome as long as we can do it safely, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the health and safety has been the driver all along. And, to see the energy that our student athletes have, the commitment, Joey, that they have to follow these protocols, the masks, the social distance, the washing the hands. And again, we had to, at the beginning of this, we had to make a cultural shift, a paradigm shift. In sports, you often do everything to bring people together, whether that's meals, whether that's meetings, whether that's team building activities. And we had to do the opposite. They don't eat together. The meetings, a lot of them are virtual. Where they can meet, it's in really small groups, socially distanced with masks. So, there was that shift, but there is an energy because this is such an important part of their life. Of after we've set up all these protocols, they've embraced, how they have to do it differently. And as we've talked about, we've kind of moved from the have-tos to the how-tos. We have to do this. Well, some things are going to be different. We can't do everything the way that we've always done it. Let's really focus on the how-tos. How can we do this in a healthy and safe way and still be able to provide the opportunity?
Boy, it's like you were my inner monologue right there, Rob, because I've done the same. I mean, like I said, just my stress level compared to yours, well, my little world compared to yours is, well, how do we pull off a road broadcast in 2 weeks, right? We've never had to do that before. So how do we do it? It's been kind of a challenge, as you can imagine. And I love that approach. Rob Mullens, Oregon Athletic Director, joining us. I did want to hit on, you mentioned no fans, Rob, but also no tailgating for fans. Just a couple reminders that I wanted to hit on this week. And please follow those local health guidelines. If we could just touch on that for a second, Rob. We'll miss you at Autzen Stadium, but we hope to have you back soon, and we can all do our parts to make that happen with these masks and everything else, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously, Autzen is very magical. That's why they call it the Autzen Magic. And it will not be the same with 75 decibels of ambient noise. Our Autzen crowd, when it's sold out and packed, brings a lot more than that. But this year, it's just going to be different. And it's going to be different all the way around Autzen. So the lots are going to be closed. Our neighbors are closing their lots as well because we want to do everything possible to allow this to continue, to be able to host these games with no fans. And part of that is just asking the community to join us in following the guidelines that have been established for our state and our community.
Rob, Jerry asked Mario Cristobal a question on the Coach's Show last night that I thought was really powerful. And I'm not going to tell you Coach's response just yet, but if you saw the show, then you know where I'm going with this. Jerry just asked, as a leader, as a leader of men, a big football family, where do you get the strength to power through in a time like this? I'm kind of curious to ask you the same question, Rob. I just thought it was a powerful question that Jerry asked. Where does your strength come from in a time like this?
Yeah, again, I think we have so many wonderful people, Joey, and our goal is, whether it's our 250 staff members or our 450 student athletes, is to continue to serve, continue to show up every day, be transparent, be honest, but define that path forward. What can we do today to make steps? And listen, some days it's survival, right? There's a lot of anxiousness. There's, people are feeling a lot of different emotions about this, but what can we do? What can we each contribute? How can we take one step forward today to get back to what we all want it to be? And listen, we've all had to change our routines. We all have had to look at things differently. And that's just part of it. success is adaptability. And then being there for one another. One of the things I'm so proud of and I've been so impressed with is with all the stress, with all the difficult challenges, the changes, the pay cuts, the layoffs, the furloughs, the way that our staff have really rallied around one another and the care factor for one another has allowed us to get to this point. And that's what makes this place special in the good times. And it certainly has proven foundational in the difficult times.
Yeah, it's a family around here. I felt that, and it's weird not to feel the family walking through the hallways of the Casanova Center. So please, everybody, I don't like being one of the only people in this building. I don't think that Rob does either when he comes into his office, so we can all do our part. Challenges ahead, Rob, I mean, what's on your mind for student athletes and just some of the challenges that we face over the next I guess I should say challenges over the next hour because it could change the following, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the health and safety is at the forefront of everything that we're doing. So we spend considerable time, adjusting, adapting, and making sure there's still a big educational element to what isolation looks like, what quarantine looks like, and executing that when necessary. And obviously with all of this comes a significant financial challenge. We've seen as we've talked about, we're looking right now at a $65 million financial gap. And how is it that we make that up, but also be ready to accelerate out of this? We still have aspirations. Certain days we're in survival mode, but we also need to shift to being able to thrive and continue the momentum and success of Oregon athletics. We have those difficult days, but at the same time, everyone continues to rally, everyone supports one another, and we just take it one day at a time and tick off those challenges as they come, and we'll find our way to the other side.
Quick timeout. I want to come back with Athletic Director Thursday, brought to you by Pepsi. Rob Mullens, kind enough to join us. Rob, I know you're busy, so a quick timeout. We'll come back. I want to talk to you a little bit about basketball season coming up.
Sure.
Because it's right around the corner, if everybody can believe it. We'll find out, soon. Coach, I should say Coach Altman met with the media today. We also have that coming up for you a little later on. The non-conference schedule is taking shape, everybody. I'm excited. If you couldn't tell, Rob, I did my broadcast board for basketball this week. That's how excited I was to.
There you go. We're getting close.
We're getting close. A quick timeout. We're going to come back with Athletic Director Rob Mullens. Stick with us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield IMG College.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
it could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
We're back on Doug Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you in the Country Financial Studio, and joining us from the corner office. I'm gonna guess for a second, Rob. You're probably better. Well, I know you're better at math than I am because journalism majors can't do math. Let's see. You're probably, I'm gonna say, 100 yards away from us in your office right now. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think that maybe a little less, but yeah, we're one corner to the other.
Yeah, that's right. We're like, so I'll say like 80 yards diagonal, right? We're not quite a full football field in the Casanova Center, but this is the world that we're living in. It's Athletic Director Thursday, brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Rob, I'm reminded as I say Athletic Director Thursday that we had talked so often about moving this back to Tuesday. And to be honest with you, I don't remember why I have just kept going with Thursdays until I just said that out loud to you right now. So if Tuesday is still going to be the preferred day when we're back to some kind of a schedule, then I promise we'll make that happen, all right?
We're adaptable, Joey. That's what we've learned.
That's right. I like that. Hey, do you have your cardboard cutout in Autzen yet?
No, I don't have a cardboard cutout, but I cannot wait to see the pet section.
Yeah, the pet section, if you haven't seen it, the cardboard cutouts have been installed slowly but surely. So I'm surprised, Rob, that you're not in like a VIP section. That seems like something that we should be able to accommodate, you know?
Well, if you put anything cardboard up with the athletic director, it ends up with a target and things being thrown at it. So I think they spared me.
I promise that there will be no tomatoes allowed in Autzen Stadium. Rob Mullens having some fun with us, Oregon Athletic Director. I'm glad that we can still laugh at some point during this. Sometimes we just have to, right? Hey, basketball season's rapidly approaching, Rob. You know, I said I did my broadcast board this past Sunday just out of excitement that we were within a month of basketball starting. How are things looking in basketball from your chair? What are you thinking about for hoops this year?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Obviously, we got two great coaches, and they've assembled great rosters. I actually was over at Matthew Knight Arena to look at something yesterday, and was fortunate that both teams happened to be practicing, was able to take a peek from the concourse. So excited. I know those student athletes are excited to be back on the court. And it's not that November 25th is right around the corner. So, they're really excited. I know the coaches are real pleased again with how the student athletes have embraced the change, and they're adapting and preparing for a season.
20 days away to be exact, everybody. Not that I'm counting down or anything. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, when everything can start for men's basketball and women's basketball across the country. Hey, so you said that you got to see him a little bit, Rob. What's the scouting report, huh?
Well, here's what I like in my conversations with both coaches, and then what little bit I caught yesterday is there's some depth there. There's a lot of athleticism, and just what fans love. There's a lot of offensive talent. Yeah. Now, I would imagine if you talk to both coaches, they're more worried about can we play defense, but they will be fun to watch because we can as they say, score the ball.
Yeah. I'm in. I'm all in for that. The Ducks are. I'm excited. If you couldn't tell, to get back to basketball, especially after things got interrupted with just where those seasons were. I'm just excited to see Oregon basketball back on the floor. How are things different in this world, Rob? Open-ended question, I suppose. How are things different for basketball as it compares to football with those sports both ramping up?
Yeah, kind of very similar. When you have small rosters like that, and it's a small family, and with all of these young people, the sport has been an important part of their life, and so they've had that taken away in a normal sense. There was a long period where we could do nothing. Then there was a period where they could do kind of some one-on-one coach to student athlete work. So they went a long period without being able to play pickup basketball or being able to scrimmage or play 5-on-5. And so, again, they've had to adapt and work on some of their individual skill. And now it's just about getting back into the rhythm of playing team basketball and the fitness level that comes with running up and down the court. So, those student athletes are just thrilled again, because this is an important part of their life, and for our team and our league and our health authorities to be able to provide that opportunity is much, much appreciated.
We're looking forward to hearing from Coach Altman coming up. We won't get his entire press conference. He talked to the media for about 22 minutes today. I think that might be a new Dana Altman record, actually. So we've got that for you coming up a little later on as the schedule comes together. I don't want to spoil too much, but, scheduling, Rob, just perspective, if you could, on just how difficult this Tetris game and this puzzle, all the different puzzle analogies that I could make. It's been a difficult thing around the country, hasn't it?
Extremely difficult, because we're all used to playing in these multi-team events, the Mauis of the world. And, several of us were signed up again. And then slowly but surely those began to have difficulties for a variety of reasons, travel, the testing requirements, and people were looking at more regional travel. And so there was, a number of people looked at, changing their conference games, the quantity of conference games, which, we did as well. So, and it continues to be fluid, Joey. I mean, people are still trying to figure out a way to get to, I believe it's 27 games or as close to 27 games as possible with all the parameters. So, it's ever changing and everybody's doing the best they can with the hopes of playing as many games as possible.
I love it. Well, Rob, I know you're busy. We talked during the break, and Rob said that his next Zoom was coming up here at 1:30 if you're live with us. So I'm going to say, hey, spend the next 8 minutes doing whatever it is you need to do. And I just very much appreciate you taking the time, Rob. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you. And hopefully I'll see you from about, 80 yards away in your office, maybe 80 yards away at Autzen Stadium at some point this weekend.
Right. No, just, again, appreciate everyone's support, appreciate everyone's patience. And, again, we can all do our part to continue to move forward, keep the virus spread low and continue to march day by day.
Yeah, get those masks. Richard's got his. I don't know if Rob can see from the camera angle that he's looking at.
I can see it, yeah.
But, yeah, Richard's got his. He's ready to go. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. Thanks for your leadership, and we'll catch up with you another time. Rob Mullens, Oregon Athletic Director. That was great. Athletic Director Thursday. Yeah, still Thursday. Brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks, drink Pepsi. What did we miss? I'll be honest, I haven't been keeping track of the comments while I was talking to Rob, but Kyle says it's almost haircut time. Man, I hope so. Hey, but in all seriousness, guys, I mean, look, we like to have fun on this show. In fact, we like to have fun in general on the Oregon Sports Network. I think Mitchell Lee back in the OSN studio running things on the radio side today, he'll tell you that probably the first thing that I ever said to Mitchell, either in an email or via headset or phone or whatever, was probably, yeah, we have zero fun on the Oregon Sports Network. Just a zero fun operation. And of course I say that completely kidding. That's just, I feel like always telling people who enter the OSN world and the Oregon world and broadcasting, like, I always say that, and that is like the perfect example of the personality of our radio network, like, and our network in general. I guess I need to stop calling it a radio network. We're really like a broadcast network these days. But we just like to have fun. Right? I mean, that's what we've always done. Jerry's always been that way. Jorgie's always been that way. Terry, me, Scott. But I think, though, the point is well-founded that we've just always been that sort of an operation. But I don't want that to come across as disingenuous when we do this show. I've been very conscious of that over the last 10 months in particular. And something that just immediately comes to mind is I can sit here and have fun and talk about, getting a haircut, right? Like, if those of you who are new to the operation here, I said that I would get a haircut when we played a live Oregon sporting event. Haven't gotten a haircut since February, and I'm hoping that on Sunday morning I can wake up and say that was a success and can get that haircut. But with the cancellation today of Washington and Cal and their football season opener, just a sobering reminder for everybody that things are adapting quickly. And I really love what Rob said, that success is adaptability. If you can adapt, you can find different ways to go about your business, and it's the how-to, not the have-to, right? How-to. How do we do this? I thought that was great. A lot to unpack. And when we come back, we're going to hear from a lot of Oregon football players, actually. Cyrus Habibi-Likio, Didi Lenore. Didi. More coming up on that, and Alex Forsyth, in addition to the All Pac-12 team that was released today. That's next. So stick with us. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
All it takes is one drop to make a wave. One beat to inspire a track. One spark to get creativity flowing. With every drop, Life Water refreshes your mind and restores your body. Purified water, pH balanced with electrolytes for taste. Designed with original works of art on every bottle. Let us be your source of inspiration. Life Water, the feel-good water.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Everybody buckle up. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. Coach's show last night, a lot of fun. If you missed it, subscribe to the Oregon Sports Network podcast. Also, the Oregon Football Facebook, Go Ducks YouTube, and the Oregon Football Twitter if you want to watch the replay of the show. Great conversation with C.J. Verdell. Said that he still wants to get to 1,000 yards this year, even in the shortened season. Great goal from C.J. Verdell. Great goal. Another guy in the running back room, Cyrus Habibi-Likio, has really taken, I think, a big step this year toward being the all well-rounded, every down back. And Cyrus Habibi-Likio talked a little bit about that. Also, he's got some connections to Stanford, and it's kind of an interesting story. We'll let him tell it as he talked to the media yesterday.
First off with Josh Picola. First off with St. Francis. It's a brotherhood. It reminds me a lot of this program with culture, pride, and poise. With Josh Picola, he was my teammate, but we're also related, actually. So it's a good little family competition. We're always getting at each other. So I'm excited, to see him. And I know he has a big role this year. So, I'm excited to go against him. It'll be our first time against each other. And then with Bennett, he's actually my roommate as well. One of my best friends. We came into St. Francis together, knowing that we'd have a big role. We actually got moved up to varsity together. We were like the first one in St. Francis history. So ever since then, we've just always been tight. And even when he was at Illinois, we were always, communicating all the time. And to have him come here and be a part of this program, and just knowing what type of guy he is and what he can offer to this program is great.
Cyrus, I was asking Coach Mastro about your offseason improvement. And one of the things he said is that, you deserve to be like a guy that's not just a red zone guy or a goal line guy, but an every down type of back. What have you done to make him say this that's expanded your game thusly?
Yeah, just working on versatility. I mentioned last time too, I went down to SoCal and worked on a lot of straight line running and just being able to run comfortable and not always looking for contact when I'm running the ball. So just becoming more agile, stretching more, doing what I can. Anything really, I hit him up, he gave me a list of things and, some of the things I just mentioned were on his list for me to improve on. And that's what I did drastically. So, yeah.
Yeah, Cyrus, you're one of the guys on the team that plays with a lot of passion, a lot of heart. With Autzen Stadium not being filled with 50,000+ fans and that energy, how are you guys filling that void? And who else has stepped up to fill that energy void as a leader?
Yeah, for sure. I think really someone who stands out to me is Nick Pickett. He's been very vocal this year, a lot more than the past years, and I think that's awesome. He brings, a lot of hype to the team, and he gets us excited. And Coach Cristobal always mentions that we have to bring our own juice. I don't really know what it's like on game day without Autzen, and really with those fans, it's such an awesome experience. So I'm really curious to see how it is. But when it comes to a juice standpoint and us being ready, I don't think that'll be a problem. I know it won't.
Cyrus, I know you grew up not too far from Palo Alto. You know that program really well. You just mentioned knowing Josh a second ago. For this, does this mean these games mean a little bit more to you? And then just in general, now having played in a couple of these rivalry games with Stanford, what have you learned from those experiences?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I grew up right over the overpass, less than 5 miles away. I grew up going to Stanford games. And actually, it's a little off the record, but my high school quarterback, his dad is Dwayne Akina. So I was very close with the Akina. I still am, the Akina family. And I believe he's still coaching DBs there. So I was, in high school on their practice field, running routes with his name's Kamalu'i, the son. So I've been around Stanford. I've been on that campus. It's a little more personal when I play them, just because I've been there my whole life. And it's almost like a second home. They're a great team, and I'm really excited, to go head to head with them.
Cyrus, when you look at the running back roster for Oregon, all you guys were featured, guys of your offense in high school. Coach Mastro tells us, he's planning on 2.5 running backs ready. How does that room stay happy with guys so used to having the rock?
Yeah, for sure. Really, it's a healthy competition in the room. I feel like we really better ourselves. Each year, I feel like we just mature more and more, especially with us three, CJ, Travis, and I, and taking the younger guys under our wing is something we've taken a lot of pride in. And really, I just feel like the offense as well, and what we have upcoming is we'll feature a lot of the backs, and we have a lot of versatility in this offense, and it works out well because I feel like each running back kind of gives its own little flavor to the offense, and we're going to include all that.
Cyrus, you've played in a couple of these games, and how would you describe just the physicality of this one? The last couple of games, and what makes this game so interesting, so tough?
You talking about Stanford or? Yeah, okay. Really, I mean, Stanford is known. Like I mentioned before. I grew up around Stanford. They're always known. The Toby Gerhardts, guys like that. They're just a physical team, downhill team. They run I-backs, pro offense, and it's a grinder. And I feel like the Stanford versus Oregon rivalry ever since I've been young, and I'm sure you guys know too. It's always been a big thing on the West Coast. So it's just different. They pack a different punch, and we're ready for it.
Cyrus, game week is here. I want to keep it simple. Just how ready are you guys to go? Coach said that you're ready to hit someone else. Where are you guys mentally as you're 2-3 days away?
As a team, I feel like we're completely ready. There's just been so much uncertainty in the off season of, we're on, then we're off, we're on, then we're off. But to know that we're on and we're going, it's the best feeling ever. And I know everybody feels the same way. So we're ready to get this thing started for sure.
Habibi-Likio, I got to keep that moniker this year, so come through for me. Hey, you remember last year, the preparation and how ready you were yourself and as a team going into the first game. Is there a different feeling in that sense of readiness because you haven't had the normal amount of time to prepare?
Well, I would say it is a bit of a different feeling just because, like I mentioned, the uncertainty, but also just because really the guys last year too, a lot of the guys have graduated and have moved on. They played a huge role last year in leadership and getting us ready. And I just feel like it's different, especially for me, because I've learned to take that role. And since I'm an upperclassman now, and really getting myself ready, but pushing other guys to get them ready. So it was a bit of a different feeling, but I mean, at the end of the day, you got to be ready. When the lights come on and that whistle is blowing, we got to go. So either way, we're ready.
Stanford usually has a very stout front seven on their defense. What have you seen from them on film? What are you expecting to see from them on Saturday?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they run a lot of 3 down, 4 down. They mix it up. their number 34, I forget his name, but he's a nose guard in the middle. He's tough. He's a tough son of a gun. So he plays really well. He controls the center of that defense. And also their number 2 linebacker is returning. Tall, lengthy guy. Kind of reminds me a bit of Troy Dye on the way he plays. Great player. So we're excited. You know, they're stout. And I mentioned earlier, my cousin, Josh Picola, will be a 3-tech. So I'm excited to go against him. You know, I know how strong he is. So it's going to be a battle up front. And, you know, we're ready.
That's Cyrus Habibi-Likio. He met with the media yesterday talking about this Stanford matchup. A lot of connections to the Cardinal, as you heard, playing against his cousin. Obviously, it's like a second home to him growing up around that area. So this is a personal matchup in a lot of different ways for Cyrus Habibi-Likio. You'll see him in action at 4:30 coming up on ABC and, of course, right here on the Oregon Sports Network on Saturday inside Autzen Stadium. Up next, we're going to talk a little offensive line. Also going to talk with a cornerback who's featured on the All-Pac-12 preseason first team. That's coming up. We'll outline which Ducks got the preseason honorees, and then we'll maybe discuss which ones are going to have it at the end of the year, too. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Back to the Country Financial Studio next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
This football season, prepare your taste buds for the most iconic sports-watching drink of all time, Pepsi. With refreshing deliciousness specially formulated to keep your eye on the ball and mouth-watering fizziness to help you power through game day, Pepsi has everything you need to start strong.
I used to care when Mike cheered so hard he spilled nacho cheese on my carpet, but thanks to Pepsi, even Mike can't ruin my football party.
So this football season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink made for football watching. Pepsi, that's what I like.
This is the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union, live from the Country Financial Studio. I want to take a look at the Oregon secondary with D.D. Lenore, by the way. Remember, Diamador, but going by D.D. He's going to tell you why here in just a little bit. He also has a really important, powerful, apparently that's a new word, important and powerful statement about why he switched his number that you're going to want to listen for. But to take a look at the Oregon secondary, and it's your Oregon Imaging Center's inside look here. So you got Diamador Lenore, D.D. Lenore. Opposite side, probably going to be Mikhail Wright. Nick Pickett, he's going to be in there at one of the safety positions. And Verone McKinley being able to play free safety while Jamal Hill can play nickel, that looks like your starting five, if you will, as we take a look at this secondary. But I do want to zero in on a couple different guys, and one of them is actually Dawood Davis. Dawood Davis is the backup field cornerback on the Ducks organizational chart right now, and he's backing up Mikhail Wright. Also of note, Jordan Happel and Bennett Williams both listed as the backup for nickel and free safety, and Steve Stevens listed as the backup for boundary safety, with DJ James backing up D.D. Lenore. I got to get used to that, D.D. Lenore. The point that I'm making is you got a lot of versatility in the Oregon secondary and a really, really impressive group of players, to say the least. So Oregon Imaging Centers, your inside look, brought to you by Oregon Imaging Centers. Choose quality. Choose Oregon Imaging Centers. The choice is yours. Let's hear from Didi Lenore.
I'll start with the simple one here. We're used to calling you Diamador. Why the name change?
I just felt like it was easier for people to pronounce, and a lot of people used to call me that when I was growing up. So I just took it under consideration and just changed it now.
Go through the whole process of opting out, thinking that there's not going to be a season, hearing there is going to be, opting back in, just the mental gymnastics basically that you had to perform in the better part of August and September.
I mean, when I made the decision to opt out, it was just to get ahead. You know, I've seen that we weren't having a season. You know, I was upset, and I just wanted to get ahead and just train. Well, just get closer to football as much as possible.
Didi, normally people don't think of Stanford as a throwing team, but this quarterback they've got looks like he can really throw the ball around. What have you seen from them in the passing game and between their quarterbacks and wide receivers?
I'm in position. There's a lot of length. You know, they're a great team. You know, a great quarterback. I got to give it to him. You know, he has a strong arm. You know, but it's really just gonna come down to us. You know, executing.
Hey, Didi, Coach just said that he looks at you as being one of the premier corners in the country. And I'm just curious, after coming back, after you opted out and you came back, what are some of the things that you wanted to work on to make yourself better to get to that next level?
Well, on the field, as far as my eye discipline, you know, I felt like I had a lot of stuff to work on from last season. Last season was just kind of like you know, like I wouldn't say get my feet wet, but like it was something just to like make a statement. But now this year, I'm planning to take over.
Didi, you're wearing number 0 this year. How'd that come about? And was it difficult to get that number from your teammates, or did you just kind of get it?
Well, I came to the decision with, you know, all of the stuff going on in the world with racism. So I just took it as zero tolerance for racism.
Warren mentioned the comment Coach just made about you about a half an hour ago, calling you one of the best corners in the country. Hearing that from your head coach, I know he's somebody who tries to empower his players, but what does that kind of mean, hearing those things from Mario?
It's actually it's a blessing, you know, just to hear that he looks at me that way, and just knowing all the work that I put in this whole off season. Well, it really started in January, for all the work that I put in and just going over the stuff that I was beat on last year and just trying to make a difference from it.
Some familiar names in the secondary, but also some new names, at least for us outside the program. What's kind of your impressions of this secondary right now? And the goal is still the same, of being the best in the conference, being one of the best in the country.
Our biggest goal is, you know, we want to limit teams to like the least passing yards as we can as a unit, as a secondary unit. But for the overall corners, we want to take the ball out the air. You know, that's what Coach Chan's preached to us, is just getting our hands on the football. We got to touch the football in order to be dominant.
You know, when you told the coaches and your teammates that you decided to opt back in, how did you let them know, and what was their reactions like when you let them know you're coming back?
So I called. Well, at the time, I had just worked out, and I was just like, I was sitting in my house, and I was just thinking, like, I was watching LSU and Mississippi State, and I was like, I'm gonna miss like having them games on a Saturday, you know, just being with my brothers, you know, just like having fun and just being able to play on the field with them, like, because those are times you never get back. So I was just thinking to myself, like, I can't do this for another month. Like, I'd just rather be with them. So then that's when I called Coach Cristobal, and I told him, like, I'm ready. I'm ready to come back.
Hey, Didi, you guys have 6-7 games to really make a statement this year with the shortened season. Curious how much, not really more focused you are, but the margin of error is razor thin for you guys. Your defense, how good are you guys this year?
You know, we always working to be perfect. That's all. That's our main goal. We just want to be perfect. You know, we looking at all the little things now. It's not about each other. It's about the little things. We got to have our 2s and 3s. We want the 2s and 3s to be just as good as the 1s. So that's what we emphasize.
I realize that it's a different quarterback compared to last year, but in last year's game, Didi, you guys kept the top on the coverage really well. The longest pass they completed was 25 yards, and that was with a really talented quarterback too. How do you try to replicate that, especially when you're going up against the same receiving core guys you're familiar with?
Just preaching to the guys that haven't been on them 3rd and 2s and them 3rd and longs, just preaching to them how the game is going to go, because I've been through it for 3 years playing against Stanford, and you know, we just got to do our part, because we know our front is going to do theirs.
Didi and Lenore, good stuff. Talking about getting the ball out of the air. That's what cornerbacks coach Rod Chance always preaches. I love that approach for cornerbacks. Going to hear talk offensive line coming up in just a moment. Jackson's Food Store is proud sponsor of the University of Oregon Ducks. Stop by your neighborhood Jackson's for all your game day essentials. Everyday specials on game day necessities. You'll be ready for the big game. Go Ducks. And remember, if you're going to be watching the Ducks, you're going to be listening to the Duck game on the Oregon Sports Network, watch on ABC. Adhere to those local health guidelines. We'd all like to be back in Autzen Stadium as soon as possible, and we definitely can do that better if everybody adheres to those guidelines now as you cheer on your Ducks, so please do so. Up next, we're going to talk with Alex Forsyth, guy who's really taken over leadership along that offensive line for the Ducks, and, well, replacing 5 starters, you need a little bit of leadership. Going to hear from Alex Forsyth when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics, because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat, or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions, don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see? Every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're inside the Country Financial Studio. Earlier, we heard from Alex Forsyth, Oregon offensive lineman, talking about his journey and taking on a leadership role along that offensive line and just what it's going to be like to get back to football. Alex Forsyth, a Portland guy, he knows what this Oregon-Stanford, I don't know if it's a rivalry, but it's just been a great game over the last 2 decades or so. Alex Forsyth talking with the media.
Alex, just wanted to ask you about one of your fellow linemen and Saleh. Just how far has he come from a guy who walked in and was almost 400 pounds when the day he walked in the door, and now is in position potentially to start for you guys?
Yeah. Solid since the day he got here. You're right. He was about 400 pounds, and you've just seen him work, and he doesn't talk much, but he just puts his head down and works. I think that's just the kind of guy he is, whether it comes to the playbook, technique stuff. Obviously he lost some weight when he first came in. He was a little too heavy, so he just puts his head down. That guy just grinds and he works. He's the kind of O-lineman we love to have.
I'm curious about the process of learning the center position and that transition in terms of needing to make the calls on the line. How have you gone about learning that, and what has been some of the challenges in that process?
Yeah, great question. That's it's a lot different than the other O-line positions. You kind of got to be the quarterback of the O-line is kind of how I look at it. You got to get the guys right, make the right front ID, make the right call. Every position on the O-line has its challenges. And I'm not going to sit here and say one position is harder than the other. But they're all so different in terms of what you have to do. And I think center is a lot of cerebral, knowing what the defense is running, knowing the defense's personality, what they like to do defensively, especially with the defensive line. A lot of responsibility comes with playing center. I think, it's a great challenge every day.
Yeah, Alex, Jordan mentioned you as one of the leaders on the O-line. How have you taken that role upon yourself to improve as leader and bring the other guys along with you?
Yeah, being one of the kind of the older guys now, sitting behind Shane, Jake, Calvin Throckmorton, Brady Aiello, Dallas Warmack, Charlie Landgraf, all those guys that were the leaders and stuff of the O-line. Them going, there's kind of a big gap, and it's not like an inherited leadership. You kind of got to earn it. I know I've talked about that before. But that's something you kind of just gotta. There's an open gap, and we have a lot of guys leading. I don't think you can just win with one leader, especially on the O-line. You got to have multiple guys that want to lead, and then guys that got to follow. I think there's nothing wrong with being a follower, but I think I've tried to step up in a leadership role because I think fits my personality much better. And so I've just tried to be a leader vocally and with what I do in the field.
Alex, you were talking about all the responsibilities that a center has, but one of the key ones also is, getting the snap off to the quarterback. How automatic is that to you at this point, getting that snap there and not having to think about it?
Yeah, I mean, that's something you just got to focus on every play. I think at every level, you really got to focus on it every play. And there's a lot going on with the live bullets when you're out there and stuff, and guys are moving around and stuff, so you don't have a lot of time to think. You kind of just got to react to what they give you. But I think that's obviously one of the challenges that comes with center, along with making the ID calls and all that stuff.
Coach Cristobal has talked about watching film of other teams who've been playing and stuff, and watching the NCAA rules videos with Steve Shaw each week to see some of the intricacies and rare things that kind of come up. It came up a couple of weeks ago with the Auburn game with Arkansas, with the botched snap and the reverse spike that should have been a fumble and stuff. I realize that's more on the quarterback than the center, but it's a team who's rarely under center. Something happens, it's in the heat of the moment, it's a close game. How much of you as a center watched and learned from either the rules videos or from other games so far this season?
Yeah, that's been the benefit of kind of, I mean, you obviously, I wish we could have played earlier, but you got to make the best out of your situation. And I think that's been the best thing, is watching these other teams, learning from them, watching what they do, and being able to watch other guys and how they play and learn from them.
Alex, you talked about the guys that you followed, Jake and all the guys who graduated and went on to play in the NFL. I'm curious what it feels like now. This is every player's dream, is now it's your time. You get a chance to shine now at the center position. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's, I mean, I've came here, and since the day I got here, I just tried to be a sponge and learn as much as I could from those guys. Coming in, I knew we had a really talented offensive line, and that's why I came here is because I know this is going to be the best place for me and the best place for me to grow as a player and a person. And so those guys, I mean, they were awesome. They were great teachers. If I ever had a question, just asking Shane, Jay, any one of them, what they're thinking about on certain plays or protections. I think they were great in terms of helping the young guys. And so that's something that we've really tried to, as the older guys now, we've really tried to incorporate because we know how much that benefits the young guys, and you need everybody to be ready.
Alex, I know you go up against Jordan Scott quite a bit in practice. I just asked him about your game, and you tell me about his game and the challenges he presents.
Yeah, he's big and he's fast too. He's people don't realize how quick he is off the ball now. His pass rush is good now, really good. And so he's a challenge every day. I mean, you can't take a play off, or else he's going to whoop your butt. So you gotta be ready and bring it against that guy every single day, whether it's him, Austin, Brandon Dorless, Keon, Christian Williams, any of our D linemen, and that's just the interior guys. You got to really bring it against those guys, unless you want to get embarrassed on a play. So you got to just bring it every play against those guys.
Alex, in prepping for Stanford and watching tape, especially last year, how different is their front seven personnel wise? I realize scheme stays the same a lot, but they do lose Hill off the edge. Now they say that Reed's not going to play. Just how different is that to prepare for when you're preparing for them for first time in full, and now some of their best players from a year ago aren't there?
Yeah, it's their front. They're really good with their front seven and stuff. And I don't watch as much the DBs and stuff, but I know their defense is really stout, really physical up front. The tough part is we haven't had any games to watch from this year, so you don't really know what the guys look like this year. But I think their front sevens they look like they're really physical. So we got to bring it.
Alex Forsyth, Oregon offensive lineman, figures to probably be starting at center coming up on Saturday, but we'll find out. 4:30 kickoff for the Ducks inside Otsa Stadium as they kick off the season against the Stanford Cardinal. We'll, of course, have a 2:30 pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. Really great conversation with Joe Moorhead coming up. I'll tell you what, Terry Johns talked to the Oregon offensive coordinator this week. Really, really awesome conversation. I talked to Terry about it yesterday, and he was just raving about the conversation with Coach Moorhead. You're going to want to tune into the pregame show starting at 2:30. Boy, that was a busy show. Rob Mullens, thanks to Rob Mullens for joining us for Athletic Director Thursday, brought to you by Pepsi. Man, Cyrus Habibi-Likio, DD, Lenore, Alex Forsyth. I said we were going to hear from Dana Allman because he talked to me today. Updates are that the schedule's starting to come together. We don't exactly know where, but it's coming together. So the point is that we're going to hear from him tomorrow. Also, Jerry and Jorgie back for picks. See you tomorrow.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff.